Who? You was on the phone. I wasn't on the Gregory. Hey, what's up with all this? What's up with all this peanut gallery stuff up there? Huh? You're not doing this. I'm not doing that. We're going to do that in committee. All right. We're technical. We'll do it next week. For next time.
Making some pen and ink changes to this guideline.
I'm so sorry.
This time I'd like to reconvene our meeting of May the 25th. Is there anyone that would like to address that particular meeting? Seeing none, that meeting is now adjourned. Ms. DiLiberto, will you call to order our June 8th meeting?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Scales. Present. Commissioner Tyson. Commissioner Knight.
Here.
Commissioner Stevens.
I am here. Thank you very much.
Before you go any further, you said the 18th. I know you didn't mean to. It's the 8th.
If I said the 18th, I apologize. I meant the 8th.
Okay.
It's June. Today is June the 8th. I don't want to rush it any further than it is. You know, life's going by. Don't blink, guys. Stand for the invocation, the Pledge of Allegiance. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for these assembled here today to do the business of Jefferson County. Dear Lord, we're thankful for the beautiful day and the beautiful weather we have. Dear Lord, we thank You for our city and our county and the ability that we have to move our county and city forward and to be able to work together for Your good. Dear Lord, we ask that You be with those amongst us who are sick and affirmed. Dear Lord, guide them in the proper direction. Dear Lord, those that would tend to perpetrate violence, dear Lord, we ask that You touch them with Your heart and give them the mindset to work together and to love one another. Dear Lord, be with this commission as we move forward and give us the wisdom, strength, courage, and guidance to do things in Thy name and for the good of the county and the good of the citizens. Lord, we ask These things in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Attention, salute, pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Commissioners, we have before you the minutes of our commission meeting on May the 25th. I ask the commissioners, are there any additions, revisions, or corrections that need to be made to those minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion for the minutes to be?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're all here. Great. Next is a presentation. Commissioner Tyson, I'd like to turn the floor over to you.
Yes. I have a student, a graduate of 2023 from Ramsey High School. Jay, could you come up, please? You and your mom. I'm going to let you. Come right there. Go right there where Helen at. Jalen Perkins Martin. She's a graduate from Ramsey High School. She has a scholarship to Yale University. A full ride. And
Oh, wow.
And we are so proud of her, and I am so happy to say that she is a member of my family.
Oh.
And Jay, could you go to the mic? And she's very shy, but she's so smart. But she comes from a line of very.
You said that she's so shy?
She really.
You didn't get that from me?
No, she did not.
And you said she's smart?
She's very smart. And Jay, could you tell them your grade point average?
I had a 4.4 GPA.
Wow. I'll clap for that again.
And could you tell them a little bit about your scholarship? It's a volleyball scholarship, right?
Yes, ma'am. I'll be playing volleyball at Yale for the next 4 years. I had that opportunity.
Awesome.
And when do you leave?
I leave August 12th.
So we are just so proud of her and her mother. Come up, Andre.
Yeah, Mom's got
Mom
a grin on. Look at that.
Mom hadn't been stopped smiling since she's been in.
Yes. And her dad is at work, so her mom actually was very smart also. And her grandmother has, I'm not going to even tell you, her grandmother has at least, about 6 or 7 degrees and a doctor. And she comes from just a line of wonderful people. And I am so proud of her because of just growing up. She was a good baby, just like an baby. She just never cried. She's just always have just been on the straight and narrow road. And I'm not surprised of her achievements. I'm really not. She also made Miss Ramsey or Miss Homecoming.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Miss Ramsey.
She made Miss Ramsey. She's a great swimmer. I wouldn't be surprised if you get up there and get a scholarship in swimming because she's a great swimmer.
That one.
But I just wanted to just let y'all love on her and just send her off with a bang. So we are just so proud of her.
Jalen, what's your interest of study?
I want to study ethics, politics, and economics.
Ooh. Ethics and politics, isn't that not too bad?
It's just one major.
I wanted to say to you also, it's always good to have a family member who you can come before and be presented in such a wonderful way. Congratulations to you. On yesterday, one of your previous students he's over there at Harvard, as you know, and so he happened to be at one of the graduations that I was a part of on yesterday. You all are doing some fantastic things, and the reason why you should be applauded, you're just not going to any school. You are going to Yale, and I think that the county needs to put extra emphasis on that. The fact that you're going to Yale says something about your commitment to your studies, and the fact that these Ivy League schools have paid attention to your work. So I applaud you, Commissioner Tyson, and that's a blessing that I'm seeing so many students who are coming out of Birmingham City schools, and they're going beyond just the traditional education, the way people think that they can put all of us in a box. But you have shown that you can go outside of the box and you can compete globally. And that's what this is all about. So kudos to you. God bless you. And you're a beautiful young lady. So congratulations again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, and I want to get a picture. If you could come up, if you could come up, if we can take a picture with her.
Of course.
And put it on our website.
Not an alternate either. Here, Jeff, you stand next to her. You're too tall. See, it works better here. I get on my tiptoes and can't get close to that. Thank you.
Congratulations.
You sure all these smart persons are?
Mom, good job.
Oh, okay. Let me get it. I thought you were about to.
All right. Okay, I guess. All right, we have public hearings next. We have our zoning cases. First is a public hearing on Douglas Farms owner Joe Miller, agent, requests a change in zoning from A1 to CP, preferred commercial, for a future 5,000 square foot office building. Case number Z220041. Michael?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Commissioners. This request is for a small piece that is south of the new Patton Chapel Road. In fact, this piece incorporates part of the old right-of-way that's currently being vacated. The property owner, again, as you explained, is proposing to construct an office building at the site. The office building itself will be accessed from Sarah Lawn Drive and not Patton Chapel Road, which, of course, will trigger road improvements as well as approval from the City of Hoover, if approved. This does comply with the county land use plan for the area, which has this property designated for general transition. Here you see your zoning map and some pictures of the subject property. This property was the staging ground for the Patton Chapel realignment.
This is where all the equipment stayed.
Correct.
Right
Yes,
there
sir.
in that curve.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that am I
Yes,
the
sir.
right place?
That's correct. This is part of a 3-lot subdivision as well. The property in question is Lot 5C, which you see on your screen right there, which shows that portion of Patton Chapel that's being vacated. Lot 5E and 5D are in Hoover. Lot 5E has a contractor's office on it. Lot 5D is planned for a pocket park within the City of Hoover. The City of Hoover is not averse to this request. They did ask for us to incorporate some conditions, which the Planning and Zoning Commission did with their recommendations. One was to install a 15-foot buffer, including a solid visual barrier of landscaping aided by a solid fence, to install directional lighting, directed lighting down and away from adjacent residences. Facade materials shall be compatible with the neighboring businesses along Patton Chapel Road. The architectural plans shall be submitted for approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and an environmental study shall be provided to the Jefferson County Roads Transportation Department prior to development. That last condition was added by the Planning and Zoning Commission in response to concerns about the sites, the environment on the site as it relates to it being a staging ground for that road project.
How close is the nearest home?
Close is the nearest home? You'll see here that it actually abuts on the opposite side of Sarah Lawn Drive from some residences right there. Those are going to be the closest ones.
I can probably see it better here than I can. Copy here.
Oh, yes, sir.
You have okay. All right. Thank you very much. I'd like to open a public hearing at this time. Case number Z 220041. Is there anyone in the audience who should speak in favor of or in opposition to this? I know that we have 3 that have signed in. We have Mr. Erskine, Mr. Riddle, and Ken, and I can't. Inman. Okay, Ken. It got compressed on me. I couldn't see it. Let's begin with, I guess, Mr. Erskine.
I'm actually here to speak on behalf of Z230014 for the Movement Fellowship Church. I think I may have.
So you're on. You did the wrong one. So
yes, sir.
We're good. Thank you. So I'm going to cross you off and see you in a little bit.
Yes, sir.
And now I guess we'll start Mr. Riddle. How about that?
How you doing today?
I'm good, bud.
How are you?
All right. First of all, the drawing that you have up here where it is showing Sarah Lawn Drive. Sarah Lawn Drive has not been an address of any of the 4 houses that the commission is saying that is on that. That's not a street. And it has not been a street since before 1972, because Miss Northington, that lives at 1919 Patton Chapel Road, is that second house right there. That is not the city of Hoover doesn't even the post office nor the city of Hoover acknowledge it as a legitimate address. Now, the city may have told you guys, or the previous committee, that they were in agreements with this, but city council has questions. And before, there was always a buffer in between the houses right there. After the curve, there was always a buffer. It's been created into a piece of property now that could have. But I guess that at the end of what I would like to say is, it is our understanding that this same piece of property has been litigated in the past where somebody wanted to put a structure on the piece of property and the judge said it's too small. I'd just like to know what's different now.
How big was the other structure?
It's 5,000 square feet total.
No, how was the one that the judge said was too large?
Well, that was what they were saying. Total of the square footage was 5,000 square foot, and what they're asking for is 5,000 square foot.
Well, doing my maps, I've got Sarah Long Drive as mapped on, so it's recognized as a road somewhere. I guess our roads department is that, but I'm just saying.
Well,
So are you for it or opposed?
We're against Hoover because the people that are on this, what they're calling Sarah Long Drive, why then, if it's acknowledged, why would their address be 1919 Chapel Road? I mean, doesn't that seem like a legitimate question?
It does. I don't know what you're talking.
And Miss Northington has lived in that house since 1972. Not once has the city of Hoover, the county, or anybody else ever came and done anything. It's basically an alleyway for these 4 houses. It's not a street.
Oh, okay.
And I'll turn it over to Kim. What? Oh, yeah. You had asked about how far away this piece of property is from Miss Northington's. It's 12 feet. If you measure across the alleyway, it's 12 feet. I measured it, 2 weeks ago? And from driveway to that piece of property.
I think what he's talking about, Joe, is this road that goes right in here. All right, next. State your name and address, please.
My name is Kenneth Inman. I am the property owner at 1921 Patton Chapel Road. There is, and fellow commissioners, I do realize that it does say Sarah Long Drive, and I've seen that before as well. My address does say Patton Chapel Road. I am the property right here. With this particular building, I would have a complete obstruction of the front of my property, whether you put fences or bushes or whatever you'd like to put there. It's going to increase the traffic. I already have a lot of traffic into my home for people turning around. If you're proposing to put the entrance to this place where the current entrance is in front of Miss Northington's property, it will increase substantially the traffic going in and out of there. And due to the building project that went on, the drainage and runoff that has come from that property has inundated her property and has inundated mine as well. It's going to increase trash and potential issues into my yard with people turning around, coming into my yard even more than they do already. And there is actually a creek on that property right at the back with wildlife. There are groundhogs, there are foxes, there are other animals that live in that area that are going to be displaced. So I am against this change and against this being rezoned. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. All right, conceptual development plans. The site is located at the intersections of the disputed Sarah Long Drive and Patton Chapel Road. The proposal shows a 5,000 square foot building with one handicap plus 13 off-street parking places. Property currently consists of 2 lots and an abandoned right-of-way. The right-of-way will be vacated and the 2 lots will be combined into one. The property has access from an unnamed private drive onto Patton Chapel Road. Michael?
Would that be Sarah Long?
Sir, I can't. And it says it's in the unnamed private drive. What's the unnamed private drive, Michael? It has to be on the conceptual drive.
Yeah, all this is, they're speaking of that Sarah Lawn Drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
The preliminary plat has been approved by the Hoover Planning and Zoning.
It's been approved by our planning and zoning commission. I'm not sure about the.
It says Hoover.
The preliminary plat will also have to be approved by the Hoover Planning and Zoning Commission. So has it been approved by them?
I'm not sure. But it will have to be approved by them before it's recorded.
It will have to be approved by them. This is really their area, and it should be in the city limits. It really should be the city of Hoover. And they're asking us to make some tough decisions on something that should be their decisions.
Send it back to them.
You want to say something?
Yes, sir.
All right, come on up.
I'm the applicant, Joseph Miller, MTTR Engineers, 3 River Chase Ridge, Hoover, Alabama, 35244. I can speak to a lot of the questions you're asking.
I wish you would.
Yes, sir. What you have now is 2 parcels of land that were created when New Patton Chapel right-of-way was obtained, and it made 2 islands with the right-of-ways of Old Patton Chapel, splitting them. They're non-conforming A1 lots. Neither one of them is close to 43,560 square feet, which means they need to be an acre. Even when you take the vacated right-of-way, which is part of this process we're going through, the lot is only 39,700 square feet, so it's still non-conforming A1. Patton Chapel is a very busy road. There's no way, in my view, that it could be anything but some kind of institutional, commercial, office-type building. Nobody's going to want to live on Patton Chapel. As to whether Sarah Lawn...
You got some good people here who want to live on Patton Chapel. I would take issue to that.
Well, okay,
go ahead.
all right. They can say that all they want, but I don't think a new house is going to sell on that. That's just my view. Now, I've done this a little bit. Sarah Lawn is dedicated right away. The plat was dedicated in map book 149, page 2. It's a dedicated right away. It's there. They may say that the post. It's paved, yes, sir. It's paved. And where we would come off, we would come off the westerly portion there where it says Sarah Lawn Drive. That's where we could come off. Now, there's also going to be, I can point to the back. Okay, there's a laser pointer. That's even better, Michael. I'm not very technology sound. So what do I need to do? Push the red button? There we go. All right, see that right there? That is an easement for Lot 5D, which is going to be a pocket park for the city of Hoover. Now, this property is in Jefferson County, and it's going to bring county taxes to you. Now, you may want it to be annexed into Hoover, but right now it's in the county. And that's the way it's always been. This is part of the Douglas property that's across the road. It's, the Douglas, Gilbert Douglas is part of their property. And so it's possible, if we could get roads and transportation to approve it, we could have the driveway come off here and not come off Sarah Lawn, if the sight distance is good enough. I know the sight distance will be good enough here because there's, my view as an engineer was, the put the driveway not off Patton Chapel because it's so busy to come off the side street. And we'd have to make the side street, bring
But
it up.
we're not going to change anything that's on up here.
No, that's
We're gonna
fine. I'm
either
just
approve it or not.
Yes, sir. And it would have to be approved by the city of Hoover because that's the city of Hoover right of way and the city of Hoover Street. And we'd have to bring it up to city of Hoover standards, which would be a 24-foot wide driveway and I mean a 24-foot wide city street with shoulders. And so that's what we'd have to do. And we've agreed that since it was being used for the county to store their equipment on for the contractor that had a contract with the county to improve Patton Chapel, that we would do an environmental study before we do, as we submit our plans, just to make sure that everything is, do a phase 1 environmental and a phase 2, just to make sure that everything is okay. And we'd have to meet the county stormwater regulations and meet all their requirements and meet the erosion control requirements. And we're agreeable to install the buffer and down lighting and have down facing lighting and have the site plan reviewed by the county. And I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have, but in my view, this is a valid use for the property.
Let me ask you.
Yes, sir.
There's on my map, it says Old Patton Chapel Road. Is that road still there?
No, sir. The right-of-way is still there. Because basically what you have is you have a remnant lot right here and a remnant lot right here with the old right-of-way that's between it. Now, we've worked with County Roads and Transportation to vacate, this is Grayson, to vacate the right-of-way there. City of Hoover's right here. They have some road frontage. They're going to get some right-of-way. They're getting that right-of-way, and we're getting this right-of-way. And it's all been, there's nothing there now. The pavement's been dug up. But the right-of-way is still dedicated. So that's why we're asking to vacate it, because there's of no use to the county.
Have we done that?
And it would be of use to us. Yes, sir.
What's being proposed? What this 5,000 square foot building would?
It would be an office building.
How many stories?
1 story. It'd be like a dentist office, insurance, that kind of thing. Maybe accountant, something like that. It wouldn't be retail. It'd be an office.
This question.
Yeah,
I did. So let me ask this question,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Miller, if I'm hearing you correctly. Are you saying, well, let me do this. Mr. Morrison, if you don't mind, let's start with you. So is this improperly before us at this time because of the fact that the city of Hoover has not reviewed it, or either they haven't made some sort of decision on it?
What's before the city of Hoover has to deal with the subdivision plan itself, not necessarily with this development. They wouldn't have any role in this development as this property is within the unincorporated county.
Okay, because that's what I'm hearing is unincorporated, which is the reason why this is before us today, and I wanted to get clarification on that.
That's correct. It's just part of a larger subdivision where 2 of the lots are actually in the city of Hoover.
Okay, so where you proposing, Mr. Miller, to put this office space, is that in the city of Hoover, or is that in unincorporated Jefferson County?
It's in unincorporated Jefferson County, but what I was trying to say, and I obviously didn't do a very good job, is where my pointer is, that's the city of Hoover right-of-way. We would have to have approval from the city of Hoover to tie onto that right-of-way. And also Hoover has requested a couple of items that we're willing to agree to that are on the conditions. And Hoover is part of this Lot 5E and this Lot 5D are within the city of Hoover. So we've got a 2-part subdivision plat that'll have to be approved by the city of Hoover also for us to record it. They'll have to approve. If you look on the second sheet, I don't know if Michael has that on there or not, but there's places for the county to sign the map for 5C and places for Hoover to sign the map for 5E and D.
So let me ask this
Yes,
question.
ma'am.
If Hoover does not approve, only hypothetical, if Hoover doesn't approve their portion of it, does that place the potential project or projected project into question?
You know,
Would that hinder it or hurt it?
No, I don't think so. What they could do at that point is just have a one-lot subdivision within the county that shows those two lots being combined with that right of way, and would solely be approved just by the county plan.
Right. The reason I did it this way is because basically all this right of way is being vacated, and in my view, it was easier to do it all at one fell swoop because the county, even though it's within the city limits of Hoover, it's still a county right of way. So only the county commission can vacate that right of way.
Well, we'll be happy to vacate the right of way, I think.
But that's the way I saw it. So, but
Well, that's where I'm going with it. The
Yes,
reason
ma'am.
why it seemed to me what was vaguely mentioned, but is a key component, is the fact that the property itself that you're talking about developing is in unincorporated Jefferson
That's
County,
correct. Yes,
which would be only for our decision to make.
That's right.
Originally, when you all first started talking, it appeared as though the city of Hoover would probably have more of a say in what happens with that land space over probably anything the commission could do. That's why I wanted to make sure I got that clarification, but it sounds like it's properly before us. I just wanted to make sure that if the city of Hoover, for whatever reason, if those Q conditions, if they had any additions or if it wasn't agreed upon, whatever, just wanted to know what kind of predicament would it place the project in, and apparently it doesn't cause any offense there. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, ma'am. In fact, some of the conditions that are recommended were provided to us by, or a suggestion by the city of plan staff.
Okay.
And just as a matter of protocol, Hoover does things a little bit differently than y'all do. They require all the plats to be signed before you submit them, so we're almost forced to come before the county first because we came before Hoover first, we wouldn't have the plats signed, but I mean, I don't make the rules, but that's the way they roll, you know. So anyway, that's why we're here first, because Jefferson County, in my view, does it the correct way. They don't make you sign all the maps because if there's any kind of changes at all, it's hard to change those milers. But that's just me. Anyway, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole too far, so I won't.
You know,
Yes, sir.
I'm a little concerned about it being in this curve, and the problems that it would cause with the increased traffic and the ingress and ingress that are there are roads and trends. Is that? Give me a little better insight on that, please.
Yes, sir. We evaluated a drive into Patton Chapel. Really, due to the development, the traffic impact is minimum, but it makes more sense and safer and efficient to come off of Sarah Long Drive.
Is there a turn lane to go into Sarah Long?
It's a 3-lane section. The new Patton Chapel is a 3-lane section.
Yeah, okay. We fixed it.
All right. Well, we're still in public here.
We are. Anyone else like to speak with? Public hearing is now closed. Now you can.
I would.
Can I make one?
I just closed the public hearing. I think we're.
I'll yield to you, sir.
Good. Commissioner Knight yields. You come on up.
Stan Riddle again. I understand what Mr. Miller was saying and so on. I've had several conversations with the city of Hoover about this as well. There's zoning and they'll maybe having conversations about this and so on, but city council's the one still going to do this, and city council doesn't know anything about a park that's being talked about being put right here, because they were on the piece of property last week. So I don't know anything about where this is, I don't know if that's a plea to make you think that the city's on board, do this or do that. I just wanted to point it out. That's all I got.
How would one access? I'm not talking to you, so we're at the public hearing. How would one access a park from there? If
Can I speak to that, please? What he just brought up about the park.
Sure.
All right. Oh God, Michael, what'd I do?
Well, you are not.
I know, I'm sorry. I messed it up. All right. We've got City of Hoover's got road frontage right there. Mr. Gilbert Douglas is on the Hoover Park Board, and he's signed the authorization for me to represent the City of Hoover in this matter. So the City of Hoover is very well aware of, they own this piece of property. They're well aware of what's going on, and they're the ones that requested some of these items on here. So to say that they don't know what's going on.
No, I believe what the gentleman said. He said the zoning and all, but the city council who has to approve it doesn't understand.
Well, the city council has nothing to do with the subdivision plat in the city of Hoover. It would just go before the planning commission because that's all it's going to be. Okay. And it's up to the city of Hoover to decide what they're going to do with Lot 5D. They own it. They could turn it into whatever they want to. I mean, they're the city of Hoover. How am I going to tell them what to do with their property?
So, Mr. President, would it not be right at this time that if we did a preliminary approval with the understanding pending city of Hoover's agreement to those lots that are in question, or we can just vote it up or down? I mean, obviously it's in unincorporated Jefferson County, so that portion is us. But if there's a concern, and obviously that's in your district, and I want to be respectful to that, if the concern is the perspective or the position of the city of Hoover, then we can do our part, and then, pending the city of Hoover's approval. But it seems as though the majority of the project in question is in unincorporated Jefferson County, and according to Roads and Transportation, what they have recommended limits the amount of traffic that seemingly would be a concern for the residents in that area. Am I wrong, sir? Okay.
And let's go back to what we were saying. This is Commissioner Ammon's district. It's not mine. So,
well, I'm sorry, Commissioner Ammons is not here,
yeah,
so I guess it would be on us, right?
It's going to be on us to determine whether this is done or not. So,
What, Mr. Miller, real quick, what are they going to do with the property across the street? That other parcel.
Talking about Lot 4, this lot?
Yeah.
That's the Douglas property, and I think they got it rezoned. Michael, didn't they get it rezoned to condominiums? Condominiums, but they would come off the new road that goes up to Patton Crest.
Okay.
That's where their driveway's going to come off of. I know that.
All right. Here's what I see is going to happen here. Whatever we do, if we rezone this and let them have the zoning, it's going to go to Hoover and they'll approve it. We'll vacate the right of way and then it'll be annexed into Hoover once the building's up. So.
Do you all foresee that, Mr. Morrison,
No,
that it's
that's
probably?
what's gonna
Well, I'm just
just
asking,
telling you.
Commissioner. Do you forecast that is probably true, that it'll in the future, instead of it being in unincorporated Jefferson County, it will then be annexed into the city of Hoover?
Particularly when there are commercial developments that are adjacent to municipalities.
Mm-hmm.
That has been a previous pattern, and that's just not Hoover, that's all 36 of them.
Yeah, it seemed like some other cities need to learn from this.
Why wouldn't they go ahead and annex it now?
they want us to make the tough decision.
All right.
Mr. Commissioner, they're maintaining it now. City of Hoover's cutting that property now. I live right there. They're cutting that property.
Well, they may think that we're responsible and we can handle it. Everything is about perspective.
I'm moved to deny.
We have a motion to deny. The public hearing is over, and any other commissioner want to speak? All right, we have a motion on the floor, a motion to deny.
So, Mr. President,
Commissioner.
let me just say this. What my concern is, again, since it's in none of our districts, it just seems to me if it's in unincorporated Jefferson County, I wouldn't want us to think that we're trying to cut off economic development in that area. Seemingly is office space, and therefore it would be, I don't know, none of us asked about what kind of amount of jobs or whatever would be created in that area. I'm just saying that seemingly is incumbent upon us only for the portion that relates to unincorporated Jefferson County. And so, you move to deny, I understand that, and everybody can vote their conscience. But I'm saying we're leaving it out there for nothing to happen, seemingly, because the city doesn't own the property. We own the land, and by state.
We don't own the land.
Well, well, let me just say this: if the property in question is in unincorporated Jefferson County, and excuse me, we don't own the land. Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate that. We do not, for the record, own the land, but I'm saying it is situated in unincorporated Jefferson County. Therefore, nothing can be done because no city government has jurisdiction over the Jefferson County Commission. And even if it was in reverse, we would have to make sure that we had their approval or their authorization in order for us to do anything in the city. So what it sounds like is that this project, if it is not favorable to this commission, it's going to die because of the fact that it's in unincorporated Jefferson County. Am I right in what I'm saying, Mr. Morris?
Well, yes, ma'am. The county commission has jurisdiction over the project.
And therefore, this project would cease to exist based upon whatever the outcome is of this vote today?
If it were denied today, then yes, they'd have to wait a year in order to reapply for the same zoning classification.
What if Hoover annexed?
Then Hoover would have to do it.
Right. They could do that tomorrow, right?
They could.
How long is the annexation process typically?
That I can speak to. I know it takes several weeks because you have to advertise and it has to go through the council and I think a couple of readings and again that depends on like the size of the municipality itself.
And if the city of Hoover decides not to do it, again, you back to square one, the project will die. Okay.
All right. So we're looking at an option of approving two things, right? We're approving the site plan, the subdivision plan.
Well, no. You're just approving the zoning changes.
We're doing that, and that's lot.
The development is on lot
And I
5.
can't see that. Lot 5. So that's, we're just doing up and down that. We have a motion to deny. Do we have a second?
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second to deny. There's no need to have a vote because it requires a 3-vote majority to do this. We have 2 of our commissioners we have a motion and a second. There's no need to take the vote. Do you want to go ahead and take the vote? I'll be happy. Let's take the vote.
Commissioner Scales?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner
No.
Knight?
Yes.
Is it to deny?
Yeah, to deny.
Just to deny. We have 3.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Is this a motion to deny?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm saying no. I'm not going to be for it to be denied.
Okay.
Let me be very clear.
Yes.
All right. Go
Commissioner
ahead.
Scales is a no. Commissioner Tyson?
It's a yes.
Yes.
A yes. Commissioner Knight?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes. So it is denied. Let's move on to number 2 then after that. All right, Michael.
Yes, sir. This is a property. It's out on McCullough Road, out Eastern Valley Way. It contains a residence and a accessory structure. Several months ago, this property was included in a property that was rezoned for a hotel project that fronted along Eastern Valley Road. Since then, that property owner has conveyed it to this new property owner who wants to use it as a residence. So this is actually rezoning back to A1.
Now I want you to tell me their names.
Hong Duk Mai and Chine Lin Tai Chow.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe I like Asian food.
That's the reason. That's the reason when I just said it. Normally I said, I'm going to let Michael do this. All right. Is there anyone in the audience like to speak in favor of it, in opposition to this? All right. We've opened and closed the public hearing. Chair will entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Have a motion for approval. And have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that one's done. Z23012, Infinite Properties. I'll let you
Yes,
say
this
this
is a
one
property
too.
that's out on Forestdale Boulevard. Here on the zoning map, this will indicate what the issue is. Recently, they've come and applied for some permits to add on some office space for a mobility company. What they do is they do a lot of just transport. Anyway, it's something that's allowed in C1 commercial zoning. However, just due to the three zoning classifications on the property, it was advised of them to go ahead and just rezone it all into one zoning classification. As of right now, there's a small portion, and you'll see it's the dotted portion on your map up here, that's on C4, which was in the 1980s only used for package stores. Since nowadays, that zoning district doesn't even exist. And then again, there's a small portion on the rear of the property that's zoned residential. And when we have these split zonings, it becomes very difficult to establish building setback lines, as we don't really have like a good, clear, distinguished boundary. This would bring the entirety of the property under one zoning classification. And again, Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval, and it complies with the policies of the land use plan.
Like to open a public hearing on Z230012. Anyone like to speak in favor of or in opposition to this? Public hearing is now closed. Commissioner Scales?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Thank you. My question, I wanted to make sure that, Mr. Morrison, can you approach the microphone, please? I just wanted to make sure that the residents, especially we're doing a lot of work over there in Forestdale.
Yes, ma'am.
And I wanted to make sure that the residents, if I'm called upon, and matter of fact, they're having a meeting tonight, I wanted to make sure that this is not going to infringe, this zoning would not infringe on any of the residential properties. And based on what I'm hearing now, I know that we would remove the split zoning, and so this commercial piece that we are trying to establish to be C1, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How far is that from the residential area in that?
If you look, again, within the zoning map will tell you this as well. The residential area is actually the closest to the rear that fronts along Heflin. This property itself only has access from 78.
Okay. Okay, so basically
It would be
that's
adjacent
industrial
to it.
and all of that that's going down, because that's adjacent to Highway 78, or is it on Highway 78?
This property has frontage on Highway 78, and it only has access from Highway 78.
Okay. Long as the access
That's
doesn't go into the residential part
Yes,
of,
ma'am. This
of
property
that
does
community.
not front Heflin Avenue at all.
Okay, that was my concern. You got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. President, then I move the item as presented if there aren't any other questions or comments.
We have a motion? Second. In a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Z230013, Hawk Farms. This is up in the Mount Olive area with 80.55 acres. You request a change in zoning to A1, and right now it's current, it was zoned current
use.
Current use.
Brief explanation. We had a situation arise in about 2007, 2008, where we had an unincorporated pocket that was zoned industrial that was completely surrounded by residential in Forestdale. At that point in time, the county took it upon itself to find these these properties that are zoned heavy industry and downs on them into basically this current use classification, which functions as a holding zone until somebody wants to do something with it, just to remove the industrial threat from the backside. And as you can see in this situation, you have all this neighborhood that has this front that any sort of business or any sort of activity on this property would have to traverse through this residential neighborhood. So this property has just remained current use since that time that we've rezoned it, again, as part of a county-wide program. In this instance, what the property owner wants to do is to rezone it to A1 agriculture, again, larger lot residential, and then further subdivide from there, just a couple of lots for family.
All right, I'd like to open a public hearing Z230013. Anyone in the audience speak in favor of or in opposition to this? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed.
Move the item.
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Z230014, the Movement Fellowship Church. This is yours, so we'll get that. Applicant Benjamin Mercer requests a change in zoning to institutional for an after-school care program in an existing church and to remove split zoning. This is also in Forestdale.
Yes, sir, that's correct. And again, you'll notice from the zoning map that the front of this is zone C1, the rear portion is zone industrial, neither of which would allow for a church use. This is just for compliance purposes and to bring the property under one zoning classification.
Like to open a public hearing for Z230014. 230014.
Good morning.
Good morning. Name and address, please.
In December of 2019, our church purchased the old Sandusky Church of Christ building and campus. It had been vacant for about 5 years. Once we purchased that building, converted it to the Movement Fellowship Church, we started heavily community development and outreach. We were servicing about 2,000 students, 18 and under, at the beginning of the pandemic and have continued there since. We partnered with our County Commissioner Scales to do almost 1,400 meals in one day for this community. And so what we're asking this commission to do is continue to allow us to service our community with educational excellence, which will, in our belief, will help curb crime in that area as well, as we service Forestdale, Adamsville, Sandusky, and the Pratt City area.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
I was going to say that actually, Pastor, but for the record, can you start by saying your name? You didn't give your name.
I apologize.
That's okay.
Chris Erskine, Kriserskine.
Okay.
And your address, Mr. Erskine.
1140 Pratt Highway.
Thank you very much.
I wanted to say, Mr. President, as we begin to deliberate, the great work that this church has provided supersedes just talking about religiosity in a building. They have absolutely been a great partner in making sure that community needs are being met and impacted effectively. I will also tell you that, especially being that Forestdale needs all the growth and development that we could possibly give, this to me is very well needed. We do have some interesting needs, and they have found unconventional ways in order to be able to help this county to be able to address it. So I'm very thankful for not only their partnership, but the vision of this pastor in making sure that they're not just looking out just for the Forestdale community, that they are connecting the dots. So therefore, I'm glad that he mentioned about this facilitates Adamsville, which, Mr. President, you and I both share. When you're talking about in that Heflin community, west of the district also, which is Pratt City, all of these are underserved communities that we have been able to partner with their church ministry in order to be able to address. So I hope that this commission will take everything that I just mentioned, and more importantly, the track record of the church of everything that has been spoken, that they very well are very transparent in what they're doing. And so this is a wonderful day in City of unincorporated Jefferson County, because you do have City of Birmingham in Forestdale, but Forestdale, this is a good day for them, this agenda, because they need a shot in the arm, and we need even more economic impact along that Highway 78 corridor.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Pastor. Public hearing is now closed. Chair will entertain a motion on Z 230014.
Move the item as presented, Mr. President.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Commissioner, you have 43 items before you that were properly vetted in our Tuesday pre-commission meeting. Is there any that a particular commissioner would like to remove for separate consideration or separate vote? I know that we removed one or two, and I verified with Miller that was done. So,
Which one did you?
the treasurer's.
Yeah, we moved that, we rolled that to the next
Yeah.
meeting.
That's something that he needs to have an investment committee meeting.
Mr.
with.
President, if you don't mind, I do have one question after post the approval of what has been presented, because I understand that there was an item that came up on Tuesday, but I thought that that it was going to reappear on today's agenda. I noticed that it's not here, and I just wanted to kind of know where we're going as it relates to this entity's participation, because I thought that what was agreed upon was that it would come up on the next agenda. And so seemingly it came up in the committee meeting, but did not make today's agenda. So we can go ahead, Mr. President, and pass it, but I did want to ask in terms of where we are as it relates to that entity, and seeing when is that going to make the agenda based upon some of the questions that you had, and I guess some of the performance agreements that you would like to see.
You've asked several questions, and we don't have the answers to all of those yet, but with the assurance that it will come back up and that it will be addressed.
I only have one question.
Along with three other entities. Yes, ma'am.
I only have one question. The only one question that I have, I probably was extremely diplomatic in my ask, but what I'm trying to say is, when will we see Birmingham Business Resource Center back on this agenda? That's what we said from the last meeting, and I thought whatever questions that were asked would probably have already been resolved. I just wanted to make sure that as we go ahead and move forth on this agenda, that I just like to get some sort of timeline as to when we're going to see that item brought back up. And the real reason is because, Mr. President, in all honesty, some of this stuff that we're talking about with these other small businesses and so forth, that's a focus of what they have. So I'm really advocating for the residents of Forestdale and some other unincorporated areas that are near the city of Centerpoint. But there's some unincorporated areas that are right there in that little small corridor that, we need some help. So that's their focus, and that's the only reason why I'm asking again, whatever questions that are out there. I've been told that they were advised to be a part of another program, which was Birmingham Prosper. Okay, but they've been doing this for a while to have their own footing. So I'm just trying to see, Mr. President, when is that going to actually make the agenda so that some of these other small business opportunities can be realized? Because I know that in these underserved areas, we're taking, Mr. President, all that we can get. And so I'm just pleading in that regard, because people of Forestdale and some other areas, they are pleading for businesses to come in their corridors, but they don't have the land space for large entities. However, they do have, Mr. President, space that can be used for office and retail to be able to, stir some economic development in their community. And obviously, when it comes to the county, that allows us to realize that through our operational budget, our general fund budget. So that's where I'm going with that, Mr. President.
I move 1 through 43.
And second?
1 through 43 have been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Did he answer your question?
I'm going to answer. That's not something that we're going to debate publicly on that. I think that's something that, what's happened is that Commissioner Ammons, who was over economic development, has now assumed the role of the Birmingham Business Alliance. And I have seen this and began to look at these. And as soon as I'm comfortable with it, it will come back up. And we have a program that we're attempting to initiate through the county and through Darren. And we want to have everyone. We have an economic development person at the county. I want to make sure that everyone is on the same page as we move forward. And you have my assurance that it will reappear very soon.
Well, Mr. President, the only ask that I would have in light of what you just mentioned is we shouldn't have to have a separation of funds in order to do it. We as a commission have been extremely supportive of several economic development entities. And all that I'm asking, Mr. President, is that we as a body, being that we no longer have an economic development chair, as it were, which you now assume that role according to law because of the fact in the absence of that former individual. That being said, Mr. President, I want to see that in short order because we keep asking for the same things over and over, and it is not being brought over in the positive in these underserved communities. You got to have something, and especially being that these folks have come together in Forestdale, Mr. President, They have come out over the hundreds. Our staff knows that. They are coming out to these meetings, and they are demanding economic development. So that being said, I would just look for, if there's going to be a separation there, then it needs to be more than what I'm hearing should be there, because that means that one entity can just about assume that it right, and that wouldn't be right either. I don't even know why we're separating it.
And then we need to have a discussion on how much it should be. I don't think one person should be able to.
And we will do that at the proper time.
You keep saying the proper time. We've been discussing this for 5 years. I've been here 5 years. I'll give you a little bit. I said 4 years. So, this is about the 6th proposal that has been brought to you by this agency, and we don't need nobody to babysit him. He's well capable of doing his job, and he's recognized nationally. And I sit and I'm trying to be very choiceful of my words, but I don't think we should have to wait to August. I don't think we should have to keep putting this off. So I'm a trust in what you just said, but
please do.
He's not going to be babysitted or fed through another program to get what these citizens deserve in these other areas. And I think that's what I'm that I'm seeing, that's what I'm feeling. And I don't want that to happen.
Okay. Thank you. All right, let's move on with our items of new business. We have a motion, I believe. Did you make a motion for unanimous consent for new items?
Actually, we didn't, but we can, Mr. President.
Okay.
And I assume that, Joe, you're going to agree. Is that right?
I didn't.
Somebody just one you just gave.
Okay, so then I make a motion
4 items right here.
I make a motion at this time that we consider the items of new business.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Ms. DiLiberto, please call the roll.
Commissioner Scales?
Yes.
Commissioner Knight?
Aye.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes. All right, I want to predicate what we do. All of these items have been through the entire process. So they're ready, and they're time sensitive, ready to be voted. We have number 1, resolution authorizing the execution of a community grant with Refuge in Troubled Times Incorporated for $2,500 for the Juneteenth celebration.
Second.
All right, let me go ahead and read them into the record, Joe, and then I will accept your
Well, they're
time.
on the record, Mr. President, because they all here, but okay.
No, 1 through 4 has been moved and seconded. Ms. DiLiberto, call the roll.
Commissioner Scales?
Yes.
Commissioner Knight?
Aye.
Commissioner Tyson? Yes. Commissioner Stevens?
Yes, all were approved unanimously. Great job. Mr. Lawson, do you have anything?
Did you talk about the meeting being moved?
Mr.
Because we ain't going to have a quorum.
No, we need to do that.
Okay.
No.
Mr. Marker?
No, sir.
All right. Our next commission meeting is scheduled during the time that we have 2 representatives going to NACO.
Yeah, I'm going to go. Mr. President,
Yes,
you don't have to take it up. I'm going to go ahead and be here. I'm not going to go.
you will be here.
No. Yeah.
Okay. So we will be able to have a quorum,
Yeah.
and so there was no necessary action to be taken. Any commissioners would like to speak?
Yes, Mr. President.
Commissioner Scales.
Yes, sir. First of all, I want to thank this commission for celebrating, taking the opportunity to recognize Juneteenth, which, of course, that's going to come up before we meet again. We do have an event that's taking place over in north of Birmingham with the historic Bethel Baptist Church, which is going to take place on June 19th. Very thankful for Empowerment, Inc. In terms of their support in this project. Let me tell you why this project is so critical, because anytime you want to root out uniformity, it behooves us to make sure that we invest into education. Well, Microsoft is going to be joining along with this project to provide services in that area as it relates to broadband. very excited about this project because I think this is how you win. I would encourage all of our brothers and sisters of all races to make sure that you study the history of Juneteenth and why it is important not only just to black people but to the history of America, and the fact that it's regardless to what some would call it critical race theory or CRT, it is the history of our ancestors, particularly for Commissioner Tyson and I. And in order for us to embrace our American creed, it would behoove us to understand that everyone has the right to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. And if we don't understand that, then we don't understand what Juneteenth, even though it's still prevalent today, it was only a start to allow the African people who were brought here involuntarily to at least have some history in this country of what we have brought to America. Okay, it's an unfortunate past that folks don't want to talk about, but guess what? It's impacting our future and our present. Let me also say this too, Mr. President. Thank you for your prayer. You need to know, and I know that you all may take this as a pot shot. It's really not. But years ago, when I kept telling you all about crime happening on the eastern side of Birmingham, where there's a video that was leaked. They said it was leaked, but from one of the housing communities. There are 14 in the city of Birmingham, and 6 of them are in our district. And so in the Kingston area, where a young man literally, not only did he kill this young man, he pistol whipped him on this video. That young man was then killed himself the following day. Then a young lady, my understanding, associated with it on some level, she's burned up in a car and she's pregnant. And then another young man associated with the same thing was killed just the other day. Went to one of several of the schools to do commencement. And one of my students was killed at Ossie Ware Mitchell School. Should have been graduating 2 days ago. But her family had to come there in her absence because she is dead. This girl is a middle school student. Mr. President, this is real. And I want you to know how thankful that I am not only for your prayers, but we need to support the Sheriff's Department as much as possible because it is absolutely mind-boggling the type of heinous, violent activity that is happening not only in the city of Birmingham, but by way of the county. So we can't hold the sheriff accountable because there's a police chief. But I can tell you that, Mr. President, this thing is really hurting my heart in ways that you all cannot even imagine. And it's all because it's too frequent. It's happening too frequent. And right now we're talking about 1 to 3 homicides per day. And we're not even talking about the gunshot victims. We're only just looking at who doesn't make it. So I pray for my parents. And lastly, I end on this note, Mr. President, over at Carver High School in my district, 3 of my high school seniors who should have graduated, dead. I learned during that time when I went to these different graduations, out of 7 high schools, 5 have been impacted this year as it relates to gun violence. In addition to that, 17 over a year and a half of children who have been killed in the schools, and for the most part, the majority of them are in my district. So please keep all of Jefferson County in your prayers, everybody, and be safe out there in the streets. Thank you.
Wait, could you hold up 1 minute, President?
Yes.
I know we have invested in Aspen Institute, and we have already, I think it was 3 people. If we could look at that again and see about investing in that. I think it's a great program. He came and did a presentation. It was some months ago, Commissioner Nightingale. Mm-hmm. And we have tried everything. This has been proven to work in other states. I think it's a great investment. The Sheriff Department is investing in it. The City of Birmingham invested in it. And we have invested the least out of all of the municipalities. Now they're going to the small municipalities to get at least something to invest in the Aspen Institute. I have been taking the classes and going to all of the Zoom meetings. I think it'll work if we at least try. And the deaths, yes, it's affecting all of us, but majority of me in our Commissioner Scales district. Like I told you, when two of my girls in my program, one of them was at the bus stop, going home, catching the bus, shot down, dead. She didn't get a chance to graduate. That was last year. And the young lady that was coming from the work at the zoo, at the stop sign, shot in the head. So all of this is happening. And that was really down the street from my house. Then the incident that happened to me twice. On a Sunday at 4 o'clock in the evening, I was not in a bad area. I was on a major road and almost got shot in the broad open daylight. So some kind of way we got to go ahead on and invest in it. We got to invest in youth detention. The money been sitting on the table. We have asked. I know it's being designed and all. How long is it going to take you? People regular dying and we regular designing. So how long are we going to design before we start implementing this money that we have already voted on? You know, I don't know what to hold up. I don't know what y'all are doing that's taking so long to bring it Cal to where we can vote on this and we can start the project. They're busting out the frame over there in youth detention. The mental health component we have, we can't implement it without this stuff being moved and us voting on it. It's a lot of mental illness going on around here. While we trying to decide, I don't know whether we trying to decide on who get the contract, or I don't know what it is. But all I know is that I can't go to the store unless I really need to. Y'all need to buy all of us bulletproof vests. That's what we need. I know I need one in my area, and I will be going to the gun range. I know we got appointments where we can go to the gun range because it has gotten that bad to where I can't go to the store because I'm afraid before I can get to the traffic light, I'm gonna be shot or something. And I really think the county need to invest in bulletproof vests for us, bulletproof windows or something.
Well,
because it's dangerous. We don't have security, so you can at least put the bulletproof windows in for us. You know, I already got one of my cars shot up.
Well, I understand the problem. I really do. And it's when we are elected, we're elected through districts, but when the day that we take that oath of office, we become Jefferson County Commissioners. And this is a Jefferson County problem. It's hard to understand what's in people's hearts that would cause them to do such heinous things. And I don't know that it's our place to try to understand, but we need to work together to have a concerted effort to try to change this heart, because
but y'all ain't being shot at. You can go to the store. You and Commissioner Knight can go to the store. So you're not going to be at the desperate need like we are. So you can go to church. I can't. And it makes a difference.
Commissioner, I really don't know what to say. You know,
where I live, some bulletproof windows in that car.
Where I live is similar to everyone. I live on the western side of the county, and I understand what's going on. I surely do. And we want to work with and through our sheriffs, through our DAs, through our mental health, through our rehabilitation to try to get some type of help and to ask. And the one thing that we need to do and to continue to do is to pray and work through that.
And Mr. President, and Mr. President, and I'll be brief.
Yes, ma'am.
We got to pray, and we got to work. All of it goes hand in hand. That's why I'm talking about economic development and education in these underserved communities. That's what changes the heart. When you look and observe what these communities look like, that's what the issue is, Mr. President. We have become a breeding ground for everything that is toxic. We have become a breeding ground, and the longer it takes us to realize it and to address it, the worse off we'll be. And I'm closing on this note. Mr. President, I know and I respect your presidency because it came from the body. But I'm saying, Mr. President, there has to be an intentional focus on redeveloping underserved communities. The streets are crying out for help. They're crying out for help, Mr. President. And I'm telling you, in order for Commissioner Tyson and I to continue to support the commission and your presidency, we have to have those areas serviced in short order. And that's why I'm pleading. We've already put someone in economic development advisory position. That person, I'm hoping that this will be another something that, you know, that Mr. Dickerson's organization is going to have another hoop. Okay, we'll put them together. But anyone can put something on this agenda, Mr. President. And I'm praying that we get to the point that just like we can say yes and amen to all of these other projects that have come through District 5 economic development recommendations, that this doesn't have to continue to be a conversation and that we act accordingly. We have been very supportive of things that do not look like the two of us, that haven't really benefited our districts. But we believe it's good for the county, and we believe this is good for the county, Mr. President. And I appreciate you allowing me the second opportunity to speak.
Thank
and I'm
you.
done.
This meeting is recessed and further notice.